And you could see that she was very confused by the maze and didn't know which way to turn. Well, finally, her father ran to the door and he called into her, "Don't cry, sweetie. Put your hands out and reach all around. You'll find the door. Just follow my voice." And I've never forgot that. Because there are times in my life when I need to know that there is someone who is conscious of my needs and cares enough about me to help me find the open door that he has already provided. And if that doesn't make you want to celebrate, nothing will. Nothing you or I could ever do would cause us to earn that kind of love. It is a free gift that Christ gives to us. That's the first characteristic of the new life in Christ. It's free. There is a second characteristic, and that is this new life is immediate. The Christian faith has often been criticized as pie in the sky type of faith, as if to say, if you are good, then you will be rewarded when you die. People who have that kind of attitude toward the Christian faith have never had an Emmaus Road kind of experience before. Christian faith is an experience of new life in the here and now. And you and I need that perspective on life. Because yesterday is gone forever, and none of us is promised tomorrow. Today is the only day that we have. And so the good that we would do, we must do now. If you are waiting until sometime in the future to laugh and to love and to live, then you are making a big mistake. This is the day that the Lord has made. So let us rejoice and be glad in it. When the children of Israel were wandering in the wilderness, God sent them life-giving manna from heaven. But He only sent them a one-day supply. They had to gather it fresh each and every morning. When Jesus spoke to His followers in His Sermon on the Mount, He instructed them, "Do not worry about tomorrow, but look to today." He pointed their attention to the birds flying overhead and the wild flowers blooming in the field. New life in Christ is now. It is the recognition that the God who created us is with us now. Our lives are filled with joy and anticipation as we ponder the significance of being His own children now. New life is a free gift, and it is immediate. And one thing more, it is forward-looking. I couldn't resist using this next example. In one of the Winnie the Pooh movies, Pooh and Piglet take a walk, and Piglet turns to Pooh and asks, "When you wake up in the morning, Pooh, what's the first thing you say to yourself?" And Pooh says, "Oh, that's easy. What's for breakfast?" And then he asks Piglet the same question. And Piglet says, "I say, I wonder what exciting thing is going to happen today." The early church could identify with that kind of anticipation, because the New Testament is a book of forward-looking and hopeful expectation. The people of Israel were awaiting the coming of the Messiah. The events of Jesus' life were in anticipation of His death and resurrection. When He left His disciples to go to the Father, Jesus promised them that He would return, and they waited in great anticipation. We need to remember that when St. Paul listed the three things that are eternal, one of those was hope. It is anticipation. It is expectancy. When the great architect Frank Lloyd Wright was asked at 90 years old to single out his finest work, he answered, "My next one." That's inspiring. New life in Christ is forward-looking. It is a free gift to anyone who will receive it, and it is immediate. It is not a ticket to be used at a later time. Rather, it's getting on board right now. And it is to see a world expectant with promise and possibility. A world in which the Creator God works all things to the good of those who love Him. So isn't it time that we joined this party? Isn't it time that we began celebrating the new life in Christ Jesus? You know, in The Tale of Two Cities, Charles Dickens has a character who has been in prison for 20 years until the French Revolution freed him. And while he was in prison, he learned the trade of a cobbler, and he spent his days in the gloom of his cell tapping out shoes. But when that day came that he was offered his liberty and he was let out into the sunlight, the freedom terrified him. He had been in the shadows of a cell far too long, and strangely enough, he had grown to love it. So he gave his servant the duty of locking him in a small attic room every night. And there, through the lattice work, he could be seen in his gloom, tapping out shoes. You know, perhaps there's someone here this morning who has not experienced the freedom of new life in Christ. Perhaps you're fearful of giving in to so much joy that you still lock yourself in a cell each night where you sit in gloom. The Christian faith was never intended to be a faith of gloom, but a faith of gladness. Come out into the sunlight. Let His love flood your heart and your soul this very day. Join this party and celebrate your new life in Christ today.